Daniel Onjeh joins me for more insights into this matter. Good evening to you, Mr. Onjeh. Thank you very much for joining us on Politics Tonight. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Right. So Benue State is in the news again, and I wonder how you feel about this, because every time we've had a conversation about your state, it's been for the wrong reason. The other time it was about the removal of local government chairman elected under former Governor Autumn. At that time, the governor denied knowledge of suits challenging the competence. Towards the end of the year 2024, it was the governor versus Austin Agada and his state executives. Now it's the Benue State House of Assembly claiming to have removed the chief judge, which has been described as unconstitutional. What is happening?
Well, I'm glad you've gone down memory lane to mention some of the things that have happened in time past. That shows clearly that you have an understanding of the situation in Benue State. Well, to start with, I think we need to delve into the political undertone. You set the stage for the discussion by mentioning the previous crisis we've had either within the APC fold and now with the judiciary. Basically, everything that is happening in Benue State, I make bold to say that it is the tussle for power sharing and states. It's the tussle for sharing of power and state allocation in Benue State with the governor, Very Reverend Father Hysen Yomen Alia. That is just the basis of everything that is happening. And I'm glad for this opportunity. I want to seize it to clear a lot of misgivings and misinformation. You know, up until when Christ was crucified and rose after the third day, there were people who believed that he was guilty and deserved the crucifixion. Not because they knew he was guilty, but because they were told he was guilty. That was the narrative they were handed down. The same thing is happening in the case of Reverend Father Hysen Yomen Alia. The narrative the powerful politicians in Benue State have sold out to the general public is what is being bought over, and the governor is being demonized on daily basis. Meanwhile, the governor has shown resilience, the governor has shown perseverance, the governor has shown determination, and the governor has shown courage. All these attributes that are prerequisites for any leadership in Benue to bring Benue out of the woods. He has demonstrated it in the fullest of capacity. That is why the state is still moving. For a priest who had been at the background for 32 years to come into an arena where there are different kinds of machination and evil, you should understand what the priest is going through. Upon assumption into office, they started up this fight with him because he made it clear from the onset that it's not going to be business as usual. For any onlooker who knows Benue State very well, you can attest to the fact that Benue State has departed the train station. And the trajectory it is headed is for the advancement of the Benue people. Now, because of this posturing of the governor, it has incurred him a lot of hatred from politicians who were used to the status quo of fleecing public funds and plundering the state resources. They can't stomach it anymore. That is why they are coming after the priest. First of all, like you rightly recounted, during the local government saga, when the National Assembly, under the guise of Benue caucus and under the leadership of the Senate Minority Leader, Senator Abamoro, my opponent in the last 2023 election, when they called for the stoppage of federal allocation to local government in Benue State, under the guise of pushing for local government autonomy, that conspiracy fell flat right on the floor of the Senate. The hollow chamber thought it deeper than Senator Abamoro would have thought.
All right. So, Mr. Onjeh, let me come in here.
Terrain.
Right. Let me come in here.
They did not fall into
because this is not the first time, most of you have come on the program to tell me that there are some powerful politicians who have refused to allow Governor Alia function optimally, but none of you has been bold enough to give us names. So are these powerful politicians also the ones who have, sponsored the removal or the purported removal of the chief judge?
Well, you already mentioned the line in which the party is divided. I'm sure you mentioned the governor and you mentioned some other persons or personalities. So you know it yourself. But haven't mentioned
I didn't mention any other person. I only mentioned Governor Alia and Honorable Justice Maurice Afambese.
You mentioned that the party is divided along two lines: Governor Chieftain Alia and also the federal appointees in Abuja, the powerful politicians from Benue State. Well, you see, they came first with the issue of local government, to take over the local government, to share the power of the local government and the resources with the governor. They failed. They came with another, first they came to take over the leadership of the State House of Assembly so that they can hold him ransom and then begin to place demand, unnecessary and illegal demand on the system. They failed. Because of Father Alia's popularity, his preferred Speaker of the House of Assembly emerged. The second attempt they made was to take over the local government, share the power of local government and resources. They also fell flat. The third attempt they have come up with now, as soon as the Supreme Court pronounced autonomy or granted financial autonomy to the local government, and it was clear that autonomy for local government has become a reality, they began to, struggle to take over the local government. Now, this is the situation. I have mentioned from beginning, it is a tussle for sharing of state power and federal government allocation with Reverend Father Hassan Yomen Alia. I'll prove it to you. Why the judiciary is involved this time around is because it appears they have come under the judiciary. First, you remember, second, they came with National Assembly, they failed. Now they have come with the judiciary. It is important for the NJC to understand the nitty-gritties of the crisis with the judiciary in Benue State so that they can conserve and preserve the sanctity and dignity of the judiciary in Nigeria. Right. They must resist the attempt to be dragged in, for the name of the judiciary to be dragged into disrepute. They must understand that it is either the judiciary in Benue State is interested in sharing state power and resources with Father Alia, the governor who appointed the chief judge of the state. Now, there are incontrovertible evidence to show that the chief justice of the state may have taken side with one faction of the party that is involved in the crisis. Now, this is it. First, in constituting the election petition tribunal, he brought on board the same judge who delivered judgment at the High Court in favor of the erstwhile chairman in person of Austin Agada, challenging the decision of National Working Committee to dissolve its executive because of the crisis that had been deepening in the party in Benue State, which was in line with the constitution of the party. in the face of the decision of the National Working Committee as backed by the neck of the party, the judge went ahead and delivered judgment in favor of Austin Agada, which of course the APC appealed. Now the same judge who gave judgment in favor of the SY party chairman was the judge that the chief judge of the state brought in to chair the tribunal. Now the respondent in the case protested and he was changed. After that, the chief judge of the state, of course, who has the power to constitute the tribunal, but after constituting the tribunal, he becomes functus officio, meaning that his job ends there. Functus officio. His job ends there. The rest of the power lies in the chairman of the tribunal. But yet, the chief judge went ahead to grant deposit for security for filing a petition as enshrined in the electoral law that was made by the Benue State House of Assembly pursuant to Section 7 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, which empowers them to make law, electoral law, for the local government elections. They made law. I want to please quickly read this so that we understand where the judge erred and the crux of the matter. Because there have been a lot of misgivings and misrepresentation. A lot of political analysts and pundits are either parroting the truth, or playing the ostrich. Nobody has been bold
All right,
enough.
So Mr. Onjeh, you may need to read that as quickly as you can, because I need to come in at this moment.
Yes, please, kindly allow me read what the judge did. Kindly allow me read what the judge did. Now, this is the letter the chief judge of the state ostensibly wrote to the chairman of the tribunal when actually after constituting he has become functus officio, like I mentioned. His job ended. He said, and I read, the Secretary Benue State Local Government Election Petition Tribunal, Zone A, Adipo, Zone B, Makurdi, Zone C, Otupo. Reference, read, waiver of payment of deposit for security by petitioners.
Okay.
The above subject matter refers, 1. I hereby convey approval of the chief judge for waiver of the payment of deposit for security for prospective petitioners. 2. The directive is in response to appeal and general outcry by prospective petitioners for the inability to pay deposit for security in view of present-day economic hardship. Now, for want of time, I stop there, but I'll tell you where the judge erred. The judges fundamentally are meant to apply law and interpret law. They are not meant to review law or amend law. That is the job of the legislature. That is the job of the legislators. By so doing, the chief judge of the state has abused the principle of separation of power and checks and balances in a political system, and has also abused the code of conduct of his office. Now, this is it. This is the law that was made by the Benue State House of Assembly. If you understand the law, then you will know that the judge erred, and that alone was enough to show that he has taken side with people.
All right, Mr. Onjeh. So I need to come in here because the conversation has been.
Reverend Father Hassan.
So the conversation, kindly hold on. The conversation has been whether or not.
Kindly allow me.
You need to hold on now because.
Read the law to you, please.
Kindly hold on, Mr. Onjeh, because you've gone on for too long. Kindly allow me read the law
that was made by. I know. Kindly allow me read the law that was made by the Benue State House of Assembly, please, so that we know that the chief judge of the state erred.
So we'll get there. Kindly hold on. So we'll get there in a moment. Correct. You've gone on for too long. And the conversation has been whether or not due process was followed. And I'm sure that, I mean, you're not a lawyer, so you cannot be more knowledgeable than those who practice the profession. Because the Judiciary Staff Union of Nigeria has condemned this recent resolution by the Benue State House of Assembly, recommending the removal of the state chief judge, purportedly for inciting the ongoing judiciary strike. That you didn't mention. NBA has called it a violation of the Constitution. The NJC has called it an aberration. Senior lawyers have called it a slap on the face of the judiciary. So, again, I'm wondering what exactly is your point. But I'm sure you've heard one of your senators, Senator Bamoro, and his colleagues saying such a constitutional act could set a dangerous precedent for governance in Nigeria. And to ensure compliance with due process, the Senate has, directed its Committee on Judiciary and Legal Matters to investigate the judiciary, submit a report within 2 weeks. So we're expecting that report in 1 week time. But does it bother you in any way?
Well, I hope I still come back to read the law made
We'll get there in a moment.
Benue State House of Assembly. We'll get there. But this issue you've raised, I think, is an issue that have already long been overtaken with events. When the governor came out recently to say he passed the resolution of the Benue State House of Assembly to the NJC, that is, for me, superfluous. It's superfluous because it is more than needed. The governor of the state has the constitutional power to remove a chief judge of a state because the provision is clear and explicit in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999 as amended. In section 292, subsection 1A, Roman figure 2, you need not be a lawyer to understand the Constitution. Law is studied in English in Nigeria. I mean, to be knowledgeable in law, even for the lawyers and judges, they undertake the study of law in English. If you are studying law, if you study law in any language, for example, you study law in Swahili, you must be proficient in Swahili. Now, what is the confusion? There is nothing unambiguous about section 292. Let's look at it critically. 1, section 292 provided several ways that a chief judge of a state can be removed. If it has provided several ways, it means thereby you can pick either of the ways. The framers of the Constitution envisage a situation where even the judiciary may want to protect one of their own against the interests of the Nigerian state. That was why it provided on what other ways that the chief judge of a state can be disciplined. For example, if the chief judge of a state erred by way of maybe financial malfeasance, that hasn't got anything to do with the judiciary. Do you mean now that the state government and the House of Assembly cannot investigate the chief judge? No, that was not what the framers of the law envisaged. Now let's look at the Constitution like I said. In section 292, subsection 1, Roman figure 2, is stipulated that upon receiving an address, the State House of Assembly can recommend the removal of a judge, and the governor is left with no other option than to approve the approve the removal of the judge. That is that section. Then subsection 1B, that is the only place the NJC was mentioned. Subsection 1B. It now says that in any case, notwithstanding the provision of section 1A Roman figure 2, notwithstanding, you can see that the introductory statement is a simple English. It is a transitional clause. That is what is called in English. Meaning that other than the first method that can be used to remove. Now, the Benue State House of Assembly have no power to remove the Chief Justice of the state as a judge. You must understand the status of a Chief Judge of the state. First, he is a judge. The State House of Assembly have no power to remove him as a judge. Just like a lecturer becoming the Vice Chancellor. You can remove him from his political position as a Vice Chancellor, but that does not remove the toga of lecturership from him. The Benue State Assembly did not sack Justice Bambise as a judge. They sacked him politically. That was their recommendation. Now, this is the point here. The governor has that right. The NJC was mentioned where they can recommend. For example, if the Chief Judge of the State breached his code of conduct, which touches on the very fundamental principle of the judiciary and the legal system in Nigeria, the governor cannot go and discipline him. It is entirely the NJC. That was what the framers of the law envisaged, that the NJC as well can recommend when it touches on them. Now, what the governor is doing and the House of Assembly, they are the ones who appointed the Chief Judge of the State. Isn't it ridiculous that the State House of Assembly that can impeach a governor is now being said to be incapable of removing somebody that he appoints? Isn't that ridiculous? Now, please, Candy, this is, for me, that has been overtaken. The governor has even carried it over by giving the NJC.
But we need to go, Candy, hold on. We need to go on a break at this moment. And when we return, we'll expand this conversation. Please stay with us, everyone.
I'm Miriam Onjeh. I'm a passionate environment advocate and a published author.
I am the founder of Celebration, a businesswoman, and a fashion icon.
I am a wealth coach and a real estate developer.
I am Amaka Arakwe. I'm a corporate commercial lawyer and an entrepreneur.
Welcome to Warhaka. I am Ramatu Shehu Oyibo, an entrepreneur and a business coach.
I am the voice of an average Muslim woman, an hijabite, and a lawyer.
I am a polymath and a serial entrepreneur.
I am Murayo Afolabi Brand, Managing Director, TVC Entertainment. I'm a media consultant, producer, and broadcaster.
The ladies of your view are made of women from different professions, tribes, cultures, and religion. Join us every Monday to Friday as we share our views on topical and social issues.
Sometimes it's the story that calls.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Politics Tonight. Thank you very much for staying with us on the program. Mr. Daniel Onjeh, APC Chieftain in Benue State, is my guest tonight. And tonight we continue to get more insight into the purported removal of Honorable Justice Maurice Ekpambeze. Mr. Onjeh, thank you very much for staying with us on the program. And like I said before we went on that break, the conversation is basically about whether or not due process was followed. And I mean, 13 lawmakers continue to say they were not part of that, of what happened on the floor of the assembly. And I'm sure you've heard Honorable Justice Ekpambeze's response to that accusation. He says it was removed for his refusal to appoint certain judges to sit on the Election Petitions Tribunal for the local government election. One, any truth to this story?
Well, you may have come across a very viral video where the Chief Judge was speaking, though in TIV language, it had been translated, so allegedly saying that he has brought in judges who are going to, like somebody interpreted, who is going to paint them or pepper them. You get? So, I mean, that is unbecoming of a chief judge. They don't commonize their activities, not in public function, you know. So, but bringing us down back to the legality or of the process or not, I've just told you, you don't allow people to take advantage of you because they are lawyers or because a lawyer said, because he didn't say. No, we are saying what the Constitution said. Look, in the Constitution, anytime a law is made and that law is expected to take cognizance of another law, which is the law in a different section that that gives disciplinary powers to the NJC. If this law in section 292, subsection 1A and B, if they are made pursuant to that law, the introductory part would be either subject to that law or
and
it will say
again,
pursuant to that law.
You continue to
but
quote
in section 292, in section 292, there is no such. That law is standing on its own. That law is independent of any other provision. Section 292.
So because you continue
clear,
to
it is unambiguous, it is
292.
explicit, simpliciter.
And if we're to, stay on this, Section 292 presupposes that you must determine that the Chief Judge is incapable of carrying out his responsibility, whether arising from infirmity of mind or of body, or from misconduct or contravention of the Code of Conduct, which the 13th lawmaker says was not done. And it was important to, as a supporter of the governor, it was important to hear your take on this particular issue, because other stakeholders in the state have said to me on this program that since the local government election was held in October,
you
the
talk
election tribunal,
about misconduct.
Please hold on. The election tribunal has been set up to look into several allegations raised by other political parties. They say these are the tactics of the governor, and the tactic is to make sure that the tribunal does not finish this case within the stipulated time, which is 180 days. And for others who have analyzed the situation, this is the governor holding the tribunal to ransom. What do you make of this?
Well, that is another misrepresentation, misinformation out there. The governor is the chief security officer of the state. Recently, he has issued a security notification barring non-petitioners and other people from carrying out activities within and around the court premises, and directing that only petitioners, the judges, and the lawyers to the petitioners alone that should be going there. Was the governor not dragged to the election petition tribunal in Benue State? Was there a crisis? Was him and his deputy not dragged to were they not respondent at one point or the other up to Supreme Court? Never in the history of Nigeria since independence had any local government election petition tribunal moved from the state capital, not even in any local government in the entirety of the state, and relocated to Abuja. Is there a war? Even in war-torn zones, like the Sambisa forest in Maiduguri, when the war was raging, we didn't hear that tribunals moved from Maiduguri to Abuja to carry out the function there. Okay, if they are what are they running from? What are they running from Benue State? Perhaps because they know that the citizens, Nigerian citizens and indigenes of Benue, are very, very much in love with Reverend Father Heinsen earlier. They have never had it this good. Benue gradually has come out of the woods. Some of these people had the opportunity to change the social, political, and economic fortune of the state. Rather, they plunged the state into endless circle of misery, poverty, and deprivation. The workers were heartlessly on salary for more than 10 months and running into a year. This reverend gentleman came, and now no salary, no worker salary is being owed. Pensions,
talking about that, Mr. Onjeh, talking about
excuse me, salaries of workers are being paid promptly. There's a general facelift on all the sectors of the economy of the state and the policy of the state, education, health sector, agriculture. Nobody can deny that.
All right.
They know that the Benue people are together with Father. Perhaps they may be up to something. That is why they are afraid that the entire Benue will revolt against them. And they are moving and running away to Abuja. So, let me put this in perspective so that we get it very clearly. Please, let's put it in perspective so that we get it very clearly. He did not in any way frustrate the tribunal. What do you call it? The judicial union have been on strike and the courts have been closed. And yet, the governor made sure that since
so why are the judiciary workers on strike?
Since election petition are sui generis and they are time bound,
Mr. Onjeh, why are the judiciary workers on strike? Why are the judiciary workers on strike? Because the House accused the CJ of indirectly supporting the ongoing judicial workers strike, and reportedly judiciary activities in Benue State have remained paralyzed for about 2 months now after they alleged that the state government... Kindly hold on, let me finish with my question, sir. They alleged the state government left them out of the implementation of the new minimum wage. But I'm wondering what laws of our land states that a chief judge should be punished for listening to the plight of judicial workers.
Well, certain things you're saying now is a bit strange to me, but all I can tell you here is that... excuse me. All I can tell you here is that the judicial workers have been on strike, but let's not run away. Please, we need to know why the chief judge was recommended to be removed. I think that should be our focus right now.
No, because part of the reasons...
digression.
No. Part of the...
I refuse the invitation to play around that arena. I would rather, while you are asking me, dropping snippet of what actually happened. Now, in the judiciary there, the judiciary have shown... it appears they have shown interest in sharing state power and also sharing federal allocation to the state. Otherwise, there are some powerful politicians who are also influencing them to do what they are doing. Why do you have to grant waiver when the law does not permit you to grant? You have to allow me read this law so that we understand where Justice Pambisi said.
So you have to hold on now, Mr. Onjeh, because you read that law before now.
This is the law.
Mr. Onjeh, kindly hold on. You have read that law before now.
2007?
Mr. Onjeh, you've read it before now. I asked you a question you have not answered, because this was part of the reasons the chief judge was purportedly removed. Why are the judiciary workers on strike?
Can you please follow this? Workers have the right to go on strike. I'm an activist. I'm an activist. And while I was the president of the National Association of Nigerian Students and the West Africa Students Union, I had a very, very cordial and robust relationship with labor unions across board. While I was the president of Shomole, was the president of NLC. We worked hand in hand. In all of the struggle he led, I was there to give my support and helping hand with the students. So I can tell you that they have their right. Whatever itches them, and they feel agitated or irritated about, they can go into it. That is industrial disputes they may be having with the government or the system or even their own institution. It is solely their own prerogative. But why I'm here is to state where Justice Pambisi erred and who is paying the piper and dictating the tune of the beat of the judicial crisis in Benue State. Now, for your information, all the petitioners that approach the tribunal, this is very important, please. If we really want to solve the problem in Benue, if we don't just want to have media, if we don't just for the sake of sensation and media frenzy, we must get the fact. I believe that is why I am here, and nothing other than following frivolities of what does not bother my life or bother the interests of the Benue State people. There's crisis in the judiciary. Okay, fine. Why don't you look at the bigger picture? Now, APC, PDP and Labour Party candidates approach the tribunal. The respondents, who are the elected APC council chairmen that have been sworn in and that have been working already, they are the respondent. Their lawyers filed preliminary objection, objecting to their petitions. The tribunal found it convenient. Please, lawyers all over the world, listen to this part. Please, so that you can judge and see if they are fair to Reverend Father Haisem Jome Alia. These are members of our party that are loyal to the SY chairman and his godfathers who are fighting Governor Haisem Alia and may be using him as a pawn on the chessboard. Now, the candidates they claim were their candidate for the local government election who didn't participate in the elections. They are the ones also in the tribunal. How did they get to file petition in the tribunal. They are the very ones, when the chief judge granted the waiver 2 days after, 295 APC members who claim to be candidates rushed to file case at the tribunal. The judge, who ought to be sitting in his court and be attending, adjudicating on matter, now says there was public outcry describing the economic situation. In the face of that, granting waiver. When the Benue citizens did not hear any outcry or complaint from the petitioners, there is no shred of evidence anywhere that they made publication that they couldn't pay the security deposit. Where did the chief judge hear the outcry from? It means he had it right. He may have had it. It appears he had it in his chambers with the petitioners, because he had their outcry. In his word, he had their is in response to the outcry. The judges are the most revered individual in the society. They don't mingle with litigants and petitioners. But Justice Ikpambese said he had their outcry. Where did he hear it from? It means some way they had a point of convergence in the absence of the other party. Before parties can meet with the judge, it has to be with consent and agreement, especially when a matter is on. Now, look at the petitioners. The respondents, who are the local government council chairman right now seated, and their councillors, they filed POs, preliminary objections, and most of the cases of PDP and Labour Party were struck out. They were found incompetent.
All right.
They were struck out.
Let me come in here.
But the cases, excuse me, this point, just get this point. The cases against the sitting council chairman of APC now in the local government is from APC members who claim that they are the genuine candidates in the election. Now, please get this very clear. Even in the Electoral Act of Nigeria, Federal Republic of Nigeria, and the law, electoral law made by Benue State Assembly, pursuant to the Constitution of Nigeria 1999 as amended. The petition, you must have a locus. Lawyers, please, let me explain to the world. You must have a locus to file petition.
So your point has been taken, Mr. Onjeh.
Excuse me.
Your point has been taken at this moment.
Listen to this
and
part.
No.
Please,
you need to hold on now.
This point of compromise.
You need to hold on. Your point has been taken. And I kept talking about the judiciary workers because this was part of the reasons the chief judge was suspended. And it will be very hypocritical of you to say the governor has done this, done that. But judiciary workers being on strike, not going to work for 2 months is not your business. You're a supporter of the governor, so perhaps you should answer this. What is the governor doing to make sure these workers go back to work? Apart from the implementation of the minimum wage, JUSUN Secretary Tenajoli criticized the government for failing to pay peculiar allowances. So when you say he was telling lies, I don't know what you mean by that. Dr. Agogode, who is the state head of service, recently told journalists in Makurdi that the issue was due to delay by the Ministry of Justice in providing necessary information. So that was the reason we needed to talk about why judiciary workers are still on strike in Benue State. So perhaps we need to move on at this point. Benue has had its own fair share of political instability. You look at communal crises and other matters. What is your assessment of the security situation in Benue State?
Well, the political instability is drawn from the background I've given you. Those who want to share state power and resources with the governor. What mess can I say? You're talking about the judiciary, and I've told you, they are workers. They have the right to go on strike. Haven't you seen NSC or TUC going on strike in Nigeria, even during the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu? We witnessed recently when they went on strike. They have the right to go on strike and settle their dispute. But what I'm telling you here that is important is resolving the big issue. Why I was invited here is to talk about, in your word, the controversial removal of the Chief Justice of the state. And I'm telling you where he erred. These petitioners I'm talking about that created apprehension as though he has taken side with, they are all APC members now. The respondents have filed preliminary objection like they filed against Labour Party and PDP for their case to be struck out. It has not been done. Rather, the tribunal had deferred ruling on the preliminary objection until the substantive case. Now, listen to it. Election petition, before you approach it, 1, it must be the sponsoring party. Lawyers, please listen all over the world and know what is happening in Benue. It must be the sponsoring party that is going to the tribunal, which has the locus, or the candidate that participated in the election. You don't go to election petition tribunal to ask to be declared against a candidate that was declared in your party. No. You go to election petition tribunal to be asked to be declared against a candidate of another party that has been declared, where you can go and challenge that you be declared as candidate. Issue of who is a candidate of a party has long been resolved and settled by the court of finality on this matter, which is the Supreme Court. Who is a candidate of a party, which is internal affairs of the party, is a pre-election matter. You don't go to the tribunal to tell tribunal that I'm the authentic candidate in the election, declare me. The Benue State Independent Electoral Commission that presents name of candidate for that publish name of candidate for election, they did not receive the name of these people in the tribunal. They did not publish it. They have said they don't know them. They were not candidates. And apart from that, in law, it is right in law that it is the party that files the petition or the candidate that participated in the election. The APC didn't file petition. The candidate that emerged didn't file petition. Certain members of the party just came from nowhere, from the blues, and appeared at the tribunal. We are candidates, we are the genuine candidates at the election, declare us. And the tribunal is running, relocating for Abuja to come here. What do they want to do that they are running from
we'll continue to monitor developments.
So the idea is that they do not have the locus. According to the legal maxim, the maxim in law, nothing can stand on nothing. These petitioners cannot sue moto. They cannot sue moto on their own.
All right, then we continue to monitor developments in Benue State, and hopefully every stakeholder maintains decorum in the interest of the people of the state. Thank you so much for speaking with us tonight, Daniel Onjeh, Benue APC Chieftain. Thank you so much for your time.